today's episode of the Can Be podcast, I have with me Heather Standley. She's a new real estate agent with Paragon Realtors, and I met her at a realtor office meeting. She and I decided to meet one-on-one so I could get to know her better. I really love to partner with my real estate agents that I really find that are aligned with me. We've talked before on episodes the importance of knowing and understanding your core values and doing business with people who align with those core values. And I could tell she was one of them. So we met one-on-one, and when I started asking her what her story was, her background, and why she chose real estate, I learned of her grandson that she was raising. And I don't want to steal the thunder or not steal the thunder. I just want you to learn from her the rest of the story. So thank you for listening to another Can Be podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Castle, and I have with me today Heather Standley with Paragon Realtors, Mimi to Kyler, and she's going to talk about Kyler's journey. So thank you for listening to the show today, and hopefully you're going to be inspired that no matter what you're working through, or no matter what curveballs life throws at you, that it's going to be okay. Thank you for listening to the Can Be podcast. Help me introduce Heather. All right, Heather, I am so glad you're here. Now, I'm going to just share with the audience how this even came about. So, Heather, you came to me last week, and as a brand new real estate agent, and I wanted to meet you and learn more about you, because if we're going to work together as a mortgage lender and a real estate agent partnership, it's important we know about each other. We know who each other are and the purpose and the passion behind the business that we're both building. And so what I found so interesting, I too am very involved in my grandkids' life. Those little humans, to me, I mean, there's a lot of mistakes I feel like I made as a parent. And probably most moms looking back, I mean, we're kind of judgmental about ourselves, I mean, like when we look back. And my first daughter, I was really young when I had her, so I made a lot of young mom mistakes. And then my second daughter, I had 13 years later. And life was just so different for me then, because I feel like I had my life a little bit more figured out at the time. And my husband is and was amazing at that time. My same husband. Took me 3 tries to get it right. Finally got it right 26 years ago. Anyway, and I feel like I did a much better job with my second daughter, which then made me feel even more guilty about the first one. Because bless her heart, she got the short end of the stick. She turned out wonderful despite all that. But anyway, as a grandmother, I feel like I get an opportunity to kind of do over. In the relationship, until you have grandkids, it's so hard to explain the connection you have with your grandkids. And then the pride that you have because your children had these children, so that's kind of cool too. But when you and I were talking, so whenever you said that you were helping raise your grandson or educate your grandson, homeschool your grandson, and he was autistic, that it just really stuck in my mind. So I really wanted to meet with you because I know that has not probably been an easy journey for you.
No.
So get a little bit closer, because I really want people to hear what that's like for you. So number one, I have some littles, I mean, like baby littles. So at this point, out of my 9 grandchildren, I do not have any grandchildren that we've experienced any of that with. So tell me, I mean, like, just talk about that.
Well, we've had Kyler, that's his name, since he was born. One of our twins got pregnant at 17, and her senior year of high school and wasn't honestly prepared to take care of herself. Much
I
less-
got pregnant at 17 and I was
Yeah.
a junior in high school. I for sure wasn't
Oh,
prepared.
yeah, she was not ready. And so, you know,
I mean, not that you're even ever ready at
yeah, there's no
35.
prepared. Yeah, you're not
preparing
prepared
for
ever.
motherhood. Yeah.
So, my husband and I got together and talked to her and told her that, you know, if this is not something you think you can do, let us know and we will take on that
Mhm.
child. And so about a week after she had him, she really came to me and said, I just don't think
I can't
can
do it.
this. Yeah. So plus she was making choices in life that were not very good. And so she knew.
Well, she was young.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a lot to go through.
And I tell her every day, I'm so proud of her for being such a wonderful mom to know she couldn't
Yeah.
provide for him the way she should
Mhm.
or wanted to.
Wanted to.
And so when he was about 6 months old, my husband and I separately, we didn't say anything to each other, noticed some things. And so I was a medical transcriptionist for 13 years. So
Mm.
I started doing some research and I kind of thought, okay, there's some autistic traits here.
Already you can tell
Oh,
that young.
I could, yeah.
Okay.
And obviously my husband, who is not, he's a truck
Yeah.
driver, so he has no medical experience.
Mhm.
He's noticed stuff too.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, at just before his 9-month doctor's appointment, my husband came to me and said, Heather, I think there's something going on here. And I said, oh my gosh, so do I. I didn't want to say anything,
Mhm.
and I said, I've been doing some research. So
I'm sure when that's going on too, you kind of have that little denial of,
you don't want
am I
to.
making this
Yeah.
up? Is it really?
Am I just seeing something I'm not
Mhm.
really seeing? Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I sent him some of the stuff that I had researched, and he said, oh my gosh, that's him. So when he had his 9-month checkup, I said something to the doctor and she said, well, it's a little bit early, so let's wait till 12 months. And I said, okay. So we really started paying much more attention to the signs.
Mhm.
And on his 12 months, I told her again. And so she had me fill out a questionnaire. And so when he was 18 months, we took him to have a preliminary test done. And they
Okay, I gotta think. Now 18 months. I
Yeah.
have an 18-month-old grandchild, so they're walking by
Yes.
then, and you're working on potty training. Typically.
Mhm.
Well, you're hoping that you're working on potty training.
Well, all three of my
Sometimes that's
daughters, I
2 or
had
3.
it 2 years old, so Kyler was definitely an ego crusher with that
Yeah.
one.
Well, boys are different too, though.
Yeah, see, and I had 3 girls in
Yeah.
15 months. I had 3 daughters, so I didn't have boys. So at 18 months, I took him to a preliminary and they said, we don't diagnose, but I can tell you, yes, he's autistic. And I said, okay, well, there's a huge waiting list.
Mm.
So it took till he was after 2 years old, and then I finally got him in to be tested. And I'm thinking, because I truly believe that his mom is what is called Asperger's.
Mhm.
You can be very functional with Asperger's, but still not have what am I trying? Social, like
Mhm.
you don't understand social cues necessarily. And
mhm.
so I was kind of thinking Kyler's going to be about that.
Mhm.
So when I went back after the initial meeting with him, went back and he said, okay, well, there's 3 levels to autism, and there's 1 which is mild, and there's 2 which is moderate, and there's 3 which is severe. And my mind, I'm thinking maybe 2, but
Yeah.
probably 1.
Yeah.
And he goes, he is a level 3 nonverbal.
Oh,
And you can prepare or know you think
think
know
maybe?
something.
Yeah.
And when you hear the words from somebody who does that for a living, you just you fall. Your whole heart just falls into your
Mhm.
stomach. And so took me a minute to kind of.
And that was you with a medical background.
Yeah.
I mean, you're used to seeing diagnosis and all of in health journeys.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's
But
still hard.
It's different. It's
Yeah.
different whenever it's you
Yeah.
and a loved one. Yeah.
So then we had to go back again. And so when we went back again, he kind of went through things and he said, he will probably never be independent, fully independent. And I can't promise he'll ever be potty trained. I don't know that he'll ever really communicate. Now, I like to say that Kyler was non-communicative because he was very verbal, but he didn't say things. So at that point in time, we lived in Oklahoma, and my husband changed from being a independent contractor to a company guy. And so we moved back here to be closer to my family. And at that point, I wasn't working. I was stay-at-home mom with Kyler. And I got him started at
Daycare might even be difficult in that case if you needed daycare, right? Because
he's
the
different.
communication.
Yes. And a lot of daycares require them to be potty trained or
Oh, that's
by
right.
a certain age. And so we moved here because my mom, my brother, and everybody, they live here. So
You had good support.
yes, I had much better support here. And with him being an over-the-road truck driver,
Oh, yeah.
he didn't want me to be out there by myself with
right.
nobody. So I got Kyler into the rehabilitation center and started with speech therapy. And that was 2 years ago, and he now talks.
Ah, I love it.
They asked me when we first started, what are your goals? And I said, my goal is I want this baby to just be able to call me Mimi.
Yeah.
And
It's the sweetest word.
Yes.
And he calls you Mimi?
He tells me, Mimi, I love you, Mimi.
Oh.
So yes. So he is like, when I go home today, he will come running at me. Mimi, you're home. So it's amazing. Now there are days I think, why did we wish for him to speak? Because he doesn't stop.
Isn't that the truth? I remember when my daughter, who my youngest one, my oldest one was trying to teach the youngest one to talk, and I'm like, watch it, because once they start, they don't stop. Enjoy the quiet.
That's right.
Yeah. So now you homeschool him, though.
He starts his first year of homeschool this year. Yeah.
So how is that going to be different than what if you were homeschooling a 5-year-old without autism?
I don't know. I never homeschooled any of my kids. So this is all brand new for me. The difference for me, I think, is with Kyler, he is a sponge, and I want to tell you, I don't know this for a fact, but he has an eidetic memory.
So teaching him, if you know him really well, you've been raising him for 5 years. So I would think from a homeschooling standpoint, you know how he best learns.
Yeah.
And isn't it pretty, aren't autistic, I mean, to me, that whole, there's so much science that still needs to be learned. I know about the brain and the correlation between autism and someone who doesn't have autism, and the parts of the brain that they're able to tap into and use versus what you and I are limited in our usage. I know there's a bridge there that needs to be built because their brains are just incredible.
Well,
and you have found that with him.
He is amazing. He has been able to read for 2 years.
Yeah. And he's 5 now.
He's 5 now.
He's 3.
But he just got potty trained. So like for him, he didn't understand that feeling. So he couldn't tell me he had to go. And so he just now in this last, just before he turned 5, he potty trained, but he does math and he reads. So he does amazing things, in some aspects. And then in other aspects, he's just so childlike.
Yeah. It's just so, well, I'm just inquisitive by nature. So I'm in it. I mean, you are too, which is how you've been able to research and figure this all out, and how you really best support him and helping him live a quality life.
Yeah.
And I'm at loss for words, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and I like to tell people, if you've ever watched Big Bang Theory, Sheldon Cooper, wicked smart, but incredibly not smart when it comes to social things. Kyler's much like that. And, he has his own bubble to people, but he doesn't understand other people might have a bubble too. So, and he tells people it's so fun to watch because when like today I went to the store and he just, hi. So, and he likes to knock on the door and I'll say, who is it? He go, it's me, Kyler. And he likes to play like he works for Paragon Realtors. I have a video of him doing that. Yeah.
wonderful.
So he
I
likes,
can role play with you.
yes, he's gonna be part of my
It's just your practice.
well, my advertising.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
amazing, adorable little boy.
Now, you wrote a book and you brought a copy to me, so I have not, I just got
Yes,
it
I
out of
just got it.
the gift bag. Tell me why you wrote this book and what I'm gonna learn reading it.
I wrote it for me, writing is kind of like a release.
Therapeutic.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Just to be able to get out.
mhm.
And once we discovered his autism, everybody's interested.
Mhm.
Like
I'm
I want,
fascinated with
yeah, I want to know more. And so I finally just got to a point, I'm like, I'm just gonna write everything down. This first book is more my emotions about
it.
this.
Mhm,
I have a second book that is more technical, honestly, about what you need to look for.
mhm.
Um,
Oh, what a handsome little
isn't
guy.
he the cutest thing that you've ever
Yes,
seen? If you
he
look at the very
is.
first page.
Oh, look at him. He is such a cutie. I wish you could see. You can't see. Sorry. You have to reach out to Heather and I'm sure she will send you
Or go to Amazon.
go to
Yeah,
Amazon.
Kyler's Journey.
Yes, buy the book, support what she's doing and learn about the journey. Whether it is autism or anything else that makes your child quote unquote different from the quote unquote normal, and I could argue normal all day long. Is anybody normal anymore? I mean, what I appreciate is the fact that people, I think, are learning that it's okay not to be normal, that being yourself is way more. Oh, that's my reminder to wrap it up so I don't take too much of your time, but still share great information. So Kyler's Journey on Amazon, grab the book, learn about the journey. And if you too are going through a situation where you're just not quite sure if it's going to be okay, number one, it will be. It's just going to take some time. And give yourself some time and space and grace for learning, because even if your story was the same story, the journey's not going to be the same. And so I just I thank you for sharing that. If you were to share with the audience a message of hope, what would that be?
Oh, just if you have an autistic in your family, don't look at it as a problem. Look at it as an adventure. Look at it as all the amazing things you're going to learn through that little human being. Because I don't think you will love anybody as much as you love these guys, because they exude confidence, but yet they're very not confident, and they really just need you to just accept them for who they are and love them and just let them show you what life is like.
I bet you see life through different lenses now.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think so oftentimes things like this are a blessing because we as humans grow and are better humans. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I know this is the first time you've done a podcast interview like this, and it's a little intimidating when I say, hey, would you come be on my podcast? But I think that all of us learning from each other and realizing that at the end of the day, we can be whatever we want to be. And in this case, you made a decision to be Mimi and mom to Kyler.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the first step, is just deciding what you want to be. And then you figure it out.
Kyler's a wonderful advocate for autism because he's adorable. And you can't help but fall in love with this little boy when you meet him. So you can see autism in full display and just fall in love with it.
Love it. Do you mind if people reach out to you if they have? I mean,
No.
They're going to go on Amazon and buy your book, and then
They can do it's you can go to Kyler's Journey at gmail.com. And actually I do have a website for him, so it's kylersjourney.com.
Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing with others, because sometimes it can be scary, and I just
That
know,
initial,
knowing,
yeah.
knowing after a diagnosis that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And that there's others too that are on that journey is just always helpful. So. And if you're looking for real estate in the Texas area, she is licensed in Texas, and she's gonna do phenomenal. So
I'm
thank you.
ready to find you home.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Y'all have a great day. Thank you so much for listening. Share this episode with someone else who maybe is going through a struggle, or they just received some news that they weren't expecting, and need just some hope and encouragement that it's going to be okay. And you just take one day at a time and give yourself a lot of grace and patience, and know that not every day is going to be perfect, and that's okay. We get a new one the next day. So, and then if you haven't already done a review, give us a 5-star review, I hope. And so sharing, listening, subscribing, and doing a review really helps me continue to go with the Can Be podcast. So have a great day.